Josh.
Hello.
So I've been meaning to ask you about your recent overseas holiday. Tell me a little bit about your trip.
So there was a time where basically I got accepted for a job down in Sydney here, and I had a couple of weeks off, so I decided to spear off over to the Bahamas. So flew over there. It was a very long journey. Got to the Bahamas, had about 10 days there, hanging out with some friends, and yeah, just had a good chance to relax and get prepared before starting a new job.
Yeah, so you had some time off in between getting a new job in Sydney.
Yep.
So you've gone to the Bahamas. So you met a friend over there, did you say?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. How do you know that friend?
So Jeremy, as you're probably well familiar with him.
Yeah.
So he's a younger brother of a guy I went to school with, and we hit it off. And he's over in Virginia, USA, doing a exchange degree there in economics. It's their spring break, so essentially they had a short time off, and
Yeah.
who doesn't want to go to the Caribbean basically?
Yeah.
So headed down to the Caribbean, and I decided to meet up with him. The timings just happened to work out.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. I've always wanted to go to the Caribbean,
Yeah.
Bahamas. So what did you end up doing on the island?
So we didn't plan out any specific activities. We kind of just winged it as we went. Turns out there's not a lot to do on the island, so there's a lot of beach time, cocktails, and we managed to fit in a little trip over to one of the other islands away from the capital called the Grand Bahamas, and we went to the major city there, Freeport, and I managed to fit in a dive while I was over there, so that was quite good.
Oh wow! So would you say it was more of a relaxing holiday rather than a adventurous holiday? You said you were having cocktails and relaxing.
That's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me more about the diving. What did that entail?
So we jumped on a boat from one of the local dive shops, headed off the coast probably about a mile, and we dropped into about 30-meter water there.
Oh wow!
And there was sharks, and there was turtles, and there was a whole bunch of amazing fish life. So
Lots of marine life in
Yeah.
the water. Was the water nice and clear? Was it really good?
It was actually.
Did you see lots of beautiful animals?
It was crazy clear, one of the best dives, in terms of visibility
Really?
that I've ever had in my life. It was 30
Wow.
meters, you could just see for miles. It was amazing.
So it sounds like diving is something that you feel quite passionate about. You just got really excited when I mentioned diving.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So.
Bit of a hobby.
Yeah, it is, and I tend to do it mainly on holidays. So,
Yeah.
off the Australian coastline, it tends to be pretty cold waters. I suffer from the cold water
Yeah.
pretty badly, so I like to do it away at tropical islands where the water's quite warm.
So what was the water like in the Bahamas?
Oh, it was amazing. It was crystal clear and really
Yeah,
warm as well.
warm.
So I was
Beautiful.
comfortable. I had a fantastic time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to get my dive license, as you know. What's actually entailed in getting your dive license?
Okay, so to get your dive license, it's called open water, is the beginner one.
Okay.
Essentially, that's a 2-day thing that you can do on the weekend. So on the first day, you learn a lot of theory, and then they stick you in the pool and give you some basic skills about taking your mask off, filling up the water, and then clearing it so you get your visibility back, and then taking the regulator out. So essentially it's just proving that you've got a bit of confidence in the water. And the second day they take you out to the ocean, and then you get to go for a proper dive.
Cool.
So
it's a lot of theory.
yeah, at the end of that 2 days, then you've got your dive license.
Oh wow.
Is
So
awesome.
you do some theory to begin with,
Yep.
and then they put you in a pool, did you say?
Yep.
And so they make sure you can put your mask on and off, and your regulator. Is your regulator your oxygen? Is that what that is?
Correct, yeah, that's connected to you.
Okay, and then they take you out to the ocean and you actually do a dive with them.
That's right.
Is that what happens?
Exactly.
That sounds pretty exciting. So 2
Yeah.
days to get the license. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to look into that.
I think you'd enjoy
so,
it.
I think so. So when you mentioned that you were doing diving when you were in the Bahamas, you're on 2 different islands. How did you travel between the second island?
So it was just a quick little flight for us, basically.
Oh,
It was,
it's not a boat ride or anything.
no, I think you could do a boat ride, but we didn't really have the time, so we just jumped on a plane. It's a 45-minute hop between the islands,
Nice
which is
and quick.
super easy. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's I think roughly over 40 plus islands, so
Oh, wow.
we had heaps of choice, but yeah, decided this was probably going to be the best one to go to.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
Which island was your favourite?
I'd probably say the capital. There's more going on the capital.
really?
Yeah, and the south.
What
So-
happens on the smaller island, Freeport?
So there's not a lot going on. It was kind of devastated by a hurricane about a couple of years ago.
That's
yeah,
really sad.
yeah, and so it's kind of been suffering from the lack of tourism because the damage that was done to the hotels and all the tourism
okay.
infrastructure. So yeah, it's pretty quiet on those islands, and they're rebuilding slowly, but there's not a lot of tourism, so that's hurting them.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So did you see a lot of the damage from
I saw it quite a bit. Most of the cleanup had kind of occurred, but you could see that houses and stuff had been half built.